In 2025, the creator of the Intent SIM architecture hosted a 75 gigabyte data archive on Zenodo, a prominent open access repository. The archive detailed a new framework for simulating intent as a physical force and had already accumulated hundreds of thousands of downloads. On November 12, 2025, Zenodo administrators locked the creator's account and delisted the archive from public search results, citing spam prevention. This chart tracks the creator's private Cloudflare network. Notice the flat baseline from May to November. At the exact moment of the public lockout, private traffic spiked. In just 30 days, 1.32 gigabytes were pulled, accounting for 50% of the entire 2025 annual bandwidth. This creates a significant telemetry anomaly. While the front-end delisting made the work invisible to the general public, the back-end logs recorded the highest velocity of data transfer in the project's history. When an account suspension and a 600% acceleration in data extraction occur simultaneously, the situation shifts from a standard administrative dispute to a forensic investigation. Analysis of the traffic spike reveals a threat rate of only 0.06%. This suggests the requests were not a distributed denial of service attack designed to crash the server, but rather a high-volume attempt to access the intellectual property. To understand who was behind these 108,230 probes, we have to map the geographic distribution of the requests and separate the routing hubs from the actual origins. The first significant cluster, often called the French vector, was characterized by high-volume, erratic requests, peaking at over 44,000. These functioned as a blunt force perimeter scan. This side-by-side comparison reveals the difference between the chaotic noise from French routing hubs and the steady, dense baseline of 20,000 requests originating from the US and the EU. This latter pattern is consistent with targeted extraction. The logs identify the specific corporate infrastructure used for these probes, specifically tracking the activity to autonomous system numbers belonging to Microsoft Azure and Tencent Cloud. In many cyber sieges, high-volume botnet traffic is used as a layer of camouflage. While the firewall manages the loud, erratic noise on the perimeter, surgical extractions of specific data can be carried out in the background. One of the most specific anomalies in the logs traces directly back to Geneva, Switzerland. The IP address belongs to the Theoretical Physics Department at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. The logs show this actor bypassed the public-facing website architecture to navigate directly into private technical directories. They targeted a single proprietary file, ms085 quantumconsciousnesslock.md. The server recorded a dwell time for this request of 2,387 seconds. That is nearly 40 minutes spent on a single text file containing the mathematical formalisms for the intent tensor and the 1/13th consciousness constant. A 2,387-second dwell time by a Tier 1 physics lab on a buried technical file is not the behavior of an automated web scraper. It is the signature of human-directed academic espionage. The siege utilized several distinct technical vectors. Nodes on Microsoft Azure were logged hunting for PHP shells and credential files hidden in the system's environment configurations. At the same time, Tencent cloud scrapers were detected attempting to siphon data from the system's evidence ledger, a directory specifically designed as a honeypot. One sophisticated vector involved a remote code execution exploit. Scripts waited until the developer initiated their Vite server to begin a forced memory extraction. By altering the core configuration file, the exploit forced the server to dump its memory cache, allowing the attackers to capture raw source code as the system attempted to reload. Finally, attackers probed port 5900, attempting to hijack the VNC protocol for unauthorized real-time screen sharing of the developer's workstation. These vectors, ranging from credential harvesting to forced memory dumps, represent a coordinated attempt to bypass standard perimeter firewalls and access uncompiled intellectual property. Most server defenses are passive. They focus on deflecting malicious traffic, which protects the data but consumes the system's own energy and processing power. To counter the extraction attempt, the Intent SIM architecture utilized an active countermeasure known as the Digital Truth Lock Protocol, or DTP. Instead of blocking, the system absorbs the malicious packet. It instantly isolates three identifiers: the IP address, the process ID, and the timestamp. These are then encrypted via SHA-256, solidifying into an immutable ledger entry called a memory stone. Every one of the 108,230 unauthorized probes recorded during the 30-day window was processed through this automated protocol. The final firewall statistics showed that while the perimeter was hit over 100,000 times, no actual breaches were achieved. Instead, the system successfully generated thousands of individual cryptographic ledgers. This approach transmutes the kinetic energy of a cyber attack into court-grade evidence. Every attempt to siphon the data effectively notarized the theft in real time. The logs tell the story of a dual-layered operation, public delisting used to isolate the creator, while a private cyber siege attempted to extract the architecture. The institutional actors assumed they were strip mining a defenseless local server. They were unaware that the architecture they were probing was specifically designed to log their presence. In a sovereign architecture, digital extraction does not destroy the intellectual property. It creates an immutable, time-stamped record of exactly who took it. True digital sovereignty is not just about building higher walls. It is about deploying an architecture that makes the theft of intellectual property mathematically impossible to deny.